It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I am your host, private investigator Ed Opperman, and this show is brought to you by, let me get this set up here, by CartKing.com. Let's see, okay, I don't want to click there, there we go. Okay, sorry, a little distracted tonight, guys. Sorry about that. Show is brought to you by CartKing.com. Let's see. Pull this up, 1 second. I'll be there with you. And pull this over there. I got something important to do here. Okay, send this over here. Go on. Computer's running really slow. Okay, boom. There we go. Okay. Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman, and this show is brought to you by CartKing.com. 877-986-7771. That's cart-king.com. Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Perhaps your current business right now wants to add multiple point-of-sale locations across the country. Maybe the facility you manage could kickstart revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services. You know, I was at the hospital yesterday, Southern Hills Hospital. I had a little procedure done. And right there in the waiting room of the hospital, they had this big giant kiosk where they sold snacks and coffee and all kinds of stuff like that. This could be the business. This could be your future. Get rich quick. CartKing.com can be the answer to your needs. CartKing.com is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile retail coffee, food, carts, and kiosks money can buy. For 20 years, CartKing.com has been working with clients and corporations across America to provide indoor and outdoor carts and kiosks for any application. So what you do is you figure out what kind of business you're in or what kind of business you want to go into. What do you want to sell? Baseball caps or flowers or something like that? You go to, as a matter of fact, they had a flower kiosk in the Staten Island Mall. It was the first little flower cart in the whole country. It was in Liberty Market at the Staten Island Mall. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. So you go to cart-king.com. Figure out what kind of business you're in or what kind of business you want to go into. You see which kind of cart would apply to your business or kiosk or outdoor big kind of cart in a facility. They'll custom design it for you, custom build it for you, then they'll ship it worldwide. Cart-king.com, 877-986-7771. When you give them a call, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and that's how you get a good deal at cart-king.com. Okay, let's get started. Well, don't expect too much tonight. Here's the deal. Okay, I had surgery this week. I had a little procedure done yesterday, Thursday morning. A little hernia operation. Thank God for that, because it's going to add about 10 years to my life. I'll be able to start working out again really hard, start lifting again. Everything went really, really good. There was no complications or anything like that. It was in and out. We had a little bit of problems with getting a ride home. It was pouring rain and stuff like that. But we managed all that. I finagled my way through that one. Okay, and then I was doing really good. They gave me some Percocets. Only had to take a couple last night. But today I woke up. I was really in great shape. I was really happy. And then I had to do an interview with William Ramsey. William Ramsey interviewed me today about the Jeffrey Epstein case, updates on that. And it really, really went good. You're going to look forward to that one. I can promise you that. Got a lot of really good information out there. And it's good to talk to William Ramsey because I respect the guy a lot. And he's familiar with off the air and on the air of my work in that case. And so, I kind of was able to vent a little bit, as well as share some information you're not going to find anywhere else, okay? Because no one talks about this stuff. Everyone talks about the surface information on that case, and I was able to share some exclusive stuff you won't hear anywhere else. How do you like that? Anyway, so I was getting ready for my interview with William Ramsey. I made myself a sandwich, and I was gulping it down while talking to my dad. My dad called me from Florida. He had a little crisis this week. My poor old man. Oh, God, I got to do a whole show about that one. My poor dad. But anyway, God bless him, man. But, he's 89 years old. He's getting old there. And he's always been a great guy. And he ran into a little trouble this week. We had to help him out. But so I was talking to my dad because he had new problems he was dealing with, and I was woofing down this sandwich like a lunatic, and I started coughing. And when I coughed, I hurt the hernia. First pain I had from this thing since yesterday, since I got the operation over with. So anyways, I took another couple of Percocets. I just took one right now, so I hate to admit I was going to wait till after the show, but I took one right now. It shouldn't kick in for another 50 minutes, I'm hoping. Another update I want to give you. Let me do so. I taped with William Ramsey today, and I did a show with Joe Gazebo and Pierce Redmond. Again, we were talking about Roger Stone. I hope you caught tonight's exclusive interview with Robert Morrow, where we talk about Roger Stone. We talk about, he co-wrote the book with Roger Stone, The Clinton War on Women. Then he also, too, and he had a falling out with Roger Stone. And the reason he had a falling out with Roger Stone was over the Katie Doe lawsuit, the little 13-year-old who filed the lawsuit. She's 13 now. She's an adult now. But when she was 13 years old, she was raped by Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump, and she filed a lawsuit against them. They were co-defendants in this lawsuit. So the reason why Robert Morrow had a falling out with Roger Stone and with Donald Trump was over that lawsuit. So Roger Stone came on the show and just vented for a good hour about his falling out with Roger Stone and what he feels about Roger Stone and about the book. And then we went into the whole Jeffrey Epstein Trump lawsuit, and he really shared some good information with that as well. He also shared some really fascinating gossip that's making quite a buzz around town these days. And that he says that Roger Stone told him that Roger Stone had an affair with Ann Coulter. So that's some fascinating stuff. So check that out if you haven't heard it yet. It'll be available. It's available in a 2-part episode along with the show I did about D.B. Cooper. But it's also available in the members section, and I'm going to make it available since it's such a hot topic right now with Roger Stone in the news all over the place, and Robert Morrow being his co-author. And by the way, you can look around anywhere you want. You're not going to find any interviews with Robert Morrow. That's an exclusive interview on this topic. You'd think everybody would be begging him to come on their show, but it takes a little ingenuity to get a hold of these guys and to get them to come on the show. Okay, so we got that. And let's look over here and see what else. I got to look here. Let me go here. I also taped Joe Gazebo. I told you about that. Now, I haven't been taping because I've been getting ready for the surgery. I taped the show with John Potash, the director and producer of the award-winning documentary film Drugs as Weapons Against Us. I taped with him last Saturday because the film is now available on Amazon and iTunes and different places like that. You can buy a copy of it, or you can rent a copy of it. If you go to his website, johnpotash.com, and I think Drugs as Weapons Film is a website as well. So if you just put in Drugs as Weapons Against Us, it'll come right up, and you can order that film, and it'll help support John and his work. He does great work. The film is very thorough. Excellent research and investigative reporting. It's all annotated with the footnotes and stuff like that, because it's based on his book, Drugs as Weapons Against Us. And of course, my segment is there. Is about me and Hank Harrison, the father of Courtney Love, and his story, which I got exclusively out of him. And me and John got it together, to tell you the truth, which is why it's in the movie. I was interviewing Hank Harrison just about the film Soaked in Bleach, which is about the murder of Kurt Cobain. And just coincidentally, John Potash just happened to message me on Facebook, and I says, "Hey, I'm interviewing Hank," and he says, "Well, ask him this," and I says, "Well, come on, you ask him." And it turns out there's this whole story about Courtney Love when she was 15 years old. She went to visit Hank in Ireland, and she brought with her 1,000 hits of LSD. She meets one of Hank's friends, this guy named Leary, who was a CIA agent, according to Hank at the time. The story's kind of changing since then, but he's got a letter from the guy. I don't know, you got to love Hank, man. But anyway, it's a long story. You got to listen to the whole thing. My segment's in there, and if you go on IMDb, it looks like I'm the star of the film, but I'm really not. It's a very small segment, about maybe 5 minutes long. I got an exclusive interview with Terry Hobbs of the West Memphis 3, the father of little Stevie, I think it's Stevie Branch. No, not, is it? Oh my God, I don't want to mess it up again. I'm pretty sure it's his father, little Stevie Branch. Terry Hobbs, and then he was a stepdad, and later on he was like they're stalking the poor guy and accusing him of being involved in these murders that these guys confessed to and stuff like that. So I have established a relationship with Terry over the years. In fact, he was the first guest we ever had on the Opperman Report. The first show we ever did was a West Memphis 3 show. And I think we've really turned that topic around, a lot of people, and opened up people's eyes to what's really went on in that case. That's a Box Full of Nightmares is his book, and that's available on Amazon too, and it should be in the Opperman Report bookstore. Let's see what else. Smiley Face Killer. I did a show about the Smiley Face Killer with this author named Nikki something or other. I forget her last name, but was really, really up to date and in tune on this topic here, and that'll be coming up. Then I did a show with John Brissom on William Barr, who is our new Attorney General, who's just appointed Attorney General. And fascinating story about this guy who openly admits that his first job out of college was he went to work for the CIA, and then bounced around from one scandal to another. He was up to his neck in Iran-Contra. I even talked to, off the record, Gene Chip Tatum, who was a pilot in Iran-Contra, smuggling the drugs. And he says, oh, yeah, William Barr was up to his neck and all that stuff. He was right there with us. So, and here this guy is, our Attorney General. Many, many scandals. I can't even list all the ones. Me and John Brisson went on for an hour. Let me see, an hour and a half. We went on 90 minutes, going over one thing after another with this guy, William Barr. This guy's up to his neck and all this stuff. And then he handled all the pardons in Iran-Contra. So this guy's been around. And one thing that came out, too, that's not in the public, but that he worked for that, what is that name of that law firm? I was talking about it all day long today, and I'm forgetting about it. Well, I'm on Percocet. What are you going to do? Right? And plus, I'm getting old. Your old man is falling apart. Let's see what we got here. Well, I was talking to Ramsey today. I keep getting the name of his law firm wrong, but this guy, William Barr, worked for the law firm that Epstein hired to get him out of all his stuff. Kirkland and Ellis. I always want to call it Escol or something like that, or Escol and Bowles. But it's Kirkland and Ellis. And that's the firm that, what's his name, Ken Starr worked for, and all those characters who left the Department of Justice. And William Barr worked for them before the Epstein settlement, and then went to work for them after the Epstein settlement. So here's the big scandal that you see in the Miami Herald and all this kind of stuff about Jeffrey Epstein, this big expose, this series of articles and stuff like that, which, by the way, they never bothered to contact me about. You'd think that they would, but they never bothered to contact me. And everything's in the front page news about Jeffrey Epstein this, Jeffrey Epstein that. And the whole story is that he used political connections to get out of this conviction and to get a soft sweetheart deal. And they're pointing the finger at Acosta, but no one mentions that William Barr worked for that same law firm that used their political connections through people like Ken Starr and them to get him off child rape charges, man. Like child molestation, statutory rape charges, So anyway, I spent a lot of time talking about this today. And we're going to try and keep the show on a lighter note because it is Valentine's Day. Or the day after Valentine's Day. For me, it's Valentine's Day. So let's see if we can get started here. I'm going to throw you a peep every now and then because I think you deserve a peep. Okay? And I'll explain to you why, hopefully, before the show's over. A little update. One more thing, then we'll get started here. I've been telling you about that young girl. Oh, boy, I've been telling you this story now for a few months about I was contacted to help her out and bail her out. And then when I found her and get her over to pretrial services, she was under intensive bail supervision. And when I went to find her, she was just an absolute mess, psychotic breakdown, a mental illness. A lot of it had to do with meth use. And I keep saying I almost just drove away. She was about 85 pounds, and she had shaved her eyebrows, and she was wearing all green makeup, all eyeshadow all over her face. It was terrifying. But, what are you going to do, So I did. I picked her up, and I got her through. I washed her up, gave her a shower, and washed her clothes and stuff. And I packed her off there, got her down to pretrial services and get her registered over there. Otherwise, they would have arrested her right away. But again, she couldn't maintain Got arrested again like a week later, more serious charges. And, you know, I worked with them and the public defender throughout the whole system. Here's a woman who I've known, a very nice woman, friendly, you know, always giggling at my jokes and stuff like that. I gave her a little work around here to clean the house and stuff. And just deteriorating right before my eyes. She was declared incompetent by the courts. And then they sent her to some psych institution over here, Stein, you know, and I went to visit her down there. And they had her on some meds down there, but still she wasn't quite the same. And then they sent her back to the jail. And then they just dropped all the charges, you know. And while she was getting medication in the jail, when they let her out, they just let her out into the street with nothing. Now, luckily, I was there waiting for her because I had convinced the jail to contact me when she was getting out so she wouldn't be wandering the streets and off her meds. But that didn't work out too good. The place we had her placed, she wandered away from there. And then she wound up less than a week later getting arrested again for prostitution. Then she was missing, you know, so I'm dealing with her mom, I'm dealing with her dad. They're in different states. I'm the only one here. And looking for her, you know, when they released her that second time, I went down there to the jail where they released them, and I looked around for her. I couldn't find her. She was missing. Ultimately, we get word, the day before my surgery, Wednesday, we get word that, we know where she is, okay? And I raced down to this Walmart down there where she's, luckily, I know how to do this. I've chased down many, many runaways over the years. I know how to do this kind of thing. So I grab her. I find her again. You know, I didn't have to grab her. You know, she was happy to see me because she had gotten hit by a car too in the meantime. And by the way, you know, last week I poured my heart out to you and I said, hey, you know, I'm working on this case with this young girl. She's being human trafficked. She's being sex trafficked. She's living out in the street. You know, and I need help finding her. And a couple of people stepped up to the plate. I had one woman buy a membership for $75, and I had another woman who's a pastor of a church who donated $50 toward this cause. But I got to tell you, man, you know, it is disappointing because here's someone who's in severe distress, you know, out on the street. There's no one in the whole world. I called everywhere, every kind of place, human trafficking places, even guests I've had on this show before who talk about how they run these agencies and programs and all this stuff like that. Yeah, I know these people. I call up the women battered shelter. They know me, these people, you know. Nobody would step up and help her. There's no services here in this town for people with mental illness. There's no services in this town for young women being sex trafficked. It's just not there. It doesn't exist. I was beating my head against the wall for months for this kid. So the plan was her parents were going to send her a bus ticket, and I was going to feed her and wash her up and get her down to the bus station. So I got her in the car, and I brought her back here to my house, man. What are you going to do, right? And I fed her, but I couldn't even get her to the shower, man. She was just so out of it. She passed out on the couch, on the chair first. And then she went to my bedroom, you know, and you couldn't get her to do anything. Then she got out of there, went to my daughter's bedroom like that, so we had to change all these sheets and throw away pillows and stuff. Because, you know, it was in bad shape, man. Let me tell you guys. And there was no way I could put this girl on a bus. She could never make it. She would have died out there. Plus, we had that huge rainstorm yesterday. She would have been out in that rain, in that freezing cold rain, where there was floods, people dying in those floods. So that's it, man. I got to tell you, man, in all seriousness, we saved this woman's life, okay, this week, okay? She was at the end of her rope. She would have died out there. And with you know, all the people out there, you listen to all these people doing these shows. They love to talk to you about Pizzagate and all this stuff and Frazzle Drip and what's going on in Haiti, you know, and human trafficking. And everybody's so outraged. And they're typing away on their Twitters and their Facebooks and stuff like that. But here you had a situation. And, you know, I got to tell you, I'm disappointed. You guys had a situation to step up and help me. You know, I asked for people. I said, you don't have to send money. Help me make phone calls. Help me find her placement. Let's drum up some support here. And there was little to no support. Okay, but we do have a happy ending. You know, we did rescue this young woman. Her life is saved. I got her dad to drive up here. He brought some biker with him, with his biker gang. They came out here. They lifted her up out of here and threw her in the truck, and they drove her down there to their state where they live. It was about a 5-hour drive from here. And I just got a text message from him tonight saying that she's doing a lot better, which could not possibly do any worse. considering the condition she was in last night. So I'm going to continue to try to help them get her on SSDI and get her placed out there in some kind of a program or some kind of housing. But for now, she is safe with her dad, who's a good guy. And so that's the end of that story there, okay? But I do have to say that, a lot of people talk the talk, Like you tune into a lot of these shows and they're talking this, they're talking that. And a lot of times, too, they got a whole little act going on where they're raising money for somebody and then they're splitting the money with the guy. Now, there was none of that going on here. This is a real serious situation, where a life and death situation. Where and one of the things too we got to do is, we have to work on something here to change the policy in the city of Las Vegas and Clark County, where if you got a psych patient inside a jail and you're giving them psych medications while they're in jail, they're taking it every day and they're doing better. You can't just dump them out on the street down there on Fremont Street, where they just walk down to Fremont Street and wander up and down here, and someone buys them a beer, and and then they're off their meds, man, and they're off to the races, and they're back being trafficked again. It's just outrageous. There has to be a better way to deal with these situations. So we're going to be reaching out to some politicians here to see if we can get these policies changed. Okay, we're going to take a little commercial break, and then we're going to get started with the real show. I haven't hardly even got going here. Let me find one of these ads, and we'll start playing it for you. Where's it going? Oh, boy. A little off my game today. Remember, I just came out of surgery. You can't expect too much. Okay, that's a good one. Okay, here we go. Be right back after these messages.
And now a word from our sponsors. Check out CartKing.com, 877-986-7771. Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Perhaps your current business wants to add multiple point-of-sale locations across the country quickly. Maybe the facility you manage could kickstart revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services, like let's say you own an office building or a warehouse. Put one of these carts there in the lobby. Well, CartKing.com can be the answer to your needs. CartKing.com is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile retail coffee and food carts and kiosks money can buy. For 20 years, CartKing.com has been working with clients and corporations across America to provide indoor and outdoor carts and kiosks for any application. From large, heated, and secure outdoor retail or food kiosks to smaller, more mobile coffee kiosks or coffee stations, coffee carts, CartKing.com designs and builds them all. Carts and kiosks are fun, and so are the dozens of designs on the website, CartKing.com. Please visit today at CartKing.com or just call them at 877-986-7771. Tell them Ed Opperman sent you and you get a good deal. Remember, all these shows on Awake are brought to you by emailrevealer.com. You can go to emailrevealer.com and get a copy of my book, How to Become a Successful Private Investigator. You also do all the kind of different services for you. Online dating service investigations called an online infidelity investigation. And that's where you give us your husband or your boyfriend, your girlfriend's email address, and we trace it back to their online dating websites, and we return a list of all the dating sites that email is registered to. We can expand on that investigation and trace it back to porn sites, escort service sites, swinger sites, gambling websites, and even prescription drug websites, and all kinds of digital forensics, computer and cell phone digital forensics, where we can recover deleted content from an email or a hard drive and produce a report for you that you can use in court. That's emailrevealer.com, or you can contact me at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com. The Opperman Report is brought to you by SubhashTechnosis.com. Subash Technosis is a search engine optimization and website design company. They're located in India, so you know you're going to save a lot of money and get top quality service. They offer all sorts of business process outsourcing, data entry, banking BPO services, recruitment process outsourcing, software testing, offshoring, research network, customer care, press release, content writing and distribution, and much, much more. Now, you can get a hold of Subash Technosis by email at info@subhashtechnosis.com. Their website is www.subhashtechnosis.com, and their Skype is ANUSHASUBASH.
Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. Don't forget the show is brought to you by CartKing.com and 21 Financial. I'll be reading their ad toward the end of the show this evening. Okay, so I've done some shows in the past. Tonight's show is called Valentine's Day Story Time. Everybody loves when I tell the stories from my life experiences and stuff like that. But it's also called You're Gonna Get a Peep. You deserve a peep, guys. You really do. Okay, you're gonna get a peep from me because you deserve a peep. And you didn't get a peep all week long. I did a show last week called 5% increase in human trafficking under Trump. Okay? And you didn't hear a peep out there from any of the people I called out on that show. Called out Liz Cronkite. Okay, and I know she's got a copy of that show, okay, because she made up this story about how there were 1,400 child sex trafficking cases in the first month of Trump's administration, and this was 10,000 times more than all of Obama and Clinton and everybody all put together in the whole history of the world, according to this fanciful tale. Okay? And here we had a live Senate confirmation hearing. There wasn't even a Senate confirmation hearing. It was just a hearing to bust chops there on Mr. Whitaker, the acting attorney general, and he said from his own lips that there was only a 5% increase. So, and that's from the Department of Justice, from the acting attorney general, from his own lips, that there was a 5% increase. And people, if I'm wrong, you could have called me out. But when I'm right, we should hear something from you too, right? Everybody loves to complain. Good old Ed Opperman, let's bust his chops, man. But when I'm right, man, I don't hear a peep. Not one apology came back at it. But so my audience deserves a peep. And since you're not going to get it from Liz Cronkite and her MAGA crew, you're going to get it from me. I'll give you the peep because you deserve a peep, okay? All right, Valentine's Day story time. Ba-ba-da-bum. I did a show one night called Born Again Birthdays and French Foreign Legion, something along those lines. And I told you about how every year around my birthday, September 9th, there's always this pivotal time in my life. This is when I got born again, when I got saved, was on my birthday around 1989. Many, many different life-changing experiences on September 9th, or that month, right around that time, every year. So I kind of wait for it when it comes around. Valentine's Day has been similar in my life, where I've also had many interesting experiences or life-changing experiences. And I got to tell you, in all honesty, right now, this Valentine's Day is probably one of the best I've had in a long, long time. You're going to laugh. I know you are, because everybody thinks of me as the old, crusty, cranky Ed Opperman. But I met a woman in the past couple of weeks. It's someone I knew a couple of years ago, but we lost touch. We never really got together. And we've reunited, and I got to tell you, man, I'm really smitten, as they might say, with this wonderful woman. She's so beautiful, and we're just getting along so good. She has so much of my attention. She's a breath of fresh air in my life, and I really feel great. I hope you guys can tolerate the new, kinder, gentler Ed Opperman as time goes on, because maybe I won't be in such a bad mood all the time. Because I got to tell you, I've been in a very, very good mood lately. So God bless you, my friend out there, and I hope you're listening. So that's my current Valentine's Day. But not every Valentine's Day has been so nice, okay? I've had some rough ones in the past. Now, I'll give you an example. One was my divorce. When I filed for divorce against my wife there in 2005, I had been preparing this for a little while. We had discussed it. It didn't come as a shock or surprise to either one of us. But the way it worked out, the paperwork was filed on February 14th on Valentine's Day. So my record of my divorce initiation, the initiation of the court proceedings, was February 14th, I think, 2005. So, which is kind of a nasty, kind of, ironic, kind of sad situation there. It kind of spoils Valentine's Day for you in the future. But, I know a lot of people, too, and I've mentioned that to other people, and people say, well, I actually did it on purpose. I served my wife with divorce papers on Valentine's Day, or I served my husband on Valentine's Day. But not me. It was unintentional. But it was one of those big Valentine's Day, and it was a big event in my life on Valentine's Day. And by the way, the reason why I'm doing a show tonight about Valentine's Day is because I thought I'd be out of commission today and wouldn't be up to taking any notes or making any kinds of research. I know the big Stone Manafort 70-page court ruling came out today, and I normally I would have read that for you and reported on that. But since I thought I'd be out of commission and on Percocets this weekend, I figured I'd just tell these stories. I know people do enjoy the stories. Now, another Valentine's Day I had, this is way back in the 80s, and this is one I'm not proud of at all, but I got to tell you, and it's just so ironic in my crazy life. I was dating this wonderful girl, okay? And she really was a wonderful girl. Looking back, she was one of the better women I've had a relationship with in my life. Really, looking back, nothing to complain about. Very kind to me in every way. But the thing was, and there just wasn't that real love. Like, I wasn't head over heels in love. You know what I mean? And although we had a nice, stable, comfortable relationship, it just wasn't something that I thought would lead to marriage. And I kind of made that clear to her once. We were out, and a friend of hers mentioned, "Oh, boy, if you guys don't get married, you're crazy." And I said, "Well, I don't think we'll get married." Yeah, I didn't think we would get married, And what happened was, on Valentine's Day, me and this very kind, wonderful girl went on a little trip down to Atlantic City to enjoy the Atlantic City casinos, because we lived in New York City. And it's a 2-hour drive to get down there, And I remember we drove down there. We got our nice room. I think we stayed at Harrah's. We definitely stayed at the hotel owned by Merv Griffin, and it was owned by Merv Griffin at the time. And I've told you the whole story about Merv Griffin getting into the lawsuits with Trump over that hotel. And so we stayed there, and there were a lot of old people staying there. A lot of elderly folks at the hotel, because I think her parents had some kind of points card there or something, right? So anyway, little things started happening, okay, on this wonderful little date of ours. And I think one of the problems was I needed to shave, and I just wanted to buy a razor and shave down in the bathroom. She didn't want me to shave, looking like a homeless person in the public bathroom. But I had, used to travel out in airports and stuff like that. I was used to shaving out in public. It wasn't a big deal to me, but she had a problem with that. And then a couple of times, like we lost sight of each other in the casino there, and she was having me paged on the overhead. I think she had me paged twice, like in a 2-hour period, just because we had gotten separated a few times. So I guess I was a little cranky, I was a little cranky, and I was kind of thinking, what, there really is no future to this relationship, even though it was on Valentine's Day. Maybe that's what made it so real to me, that I realized, hey, this is Valentine's Day. I should be head over heels in love with my Valentine's Day date, but I wasn't. So I was getting the mood that, hey, I should probably break it off with this girl. And another thing, too, was, she was a young girl. She had her whole life ahead of her. And I kind of thought, like, listen, I'm not being fair to her, Of course I could just continue this and take advantage, but I thought I wasn't being fair to her. So I was getting there, inching it closer and closer to it, that I should break up with this girl. But, the way it happened, it's just horrible. Oh, my God, now that I think about it, I shouldn't even I'll destroy this episode. It actually came down to the point, there was a little drizzle out there, okay? If you've never been to Atlantic City, there's a boardwalk, this old boardwalk that goes back to like the 1920s. And there's a little drizzle out there, and they have these things, these little jitneys, right? Where this guy has a bicycle, and there's a little cart behind it, and you could sit in this little cart, and he'll ride you from one hotel to another. And since it was drizzling out there, they have a plastic tarp that they put over you. It's like it's built into the thing, a see-through plastic tarp. And we're riding along on Valentine's Day, and I'm a romantic guy to begin with, I'm like flowers and candy. I love doing all that stuff, As a matter of fact, I was telling you before about my friend who owned the flower cart in the Staten Island Mall. That was the first cart or kiosk in a mall ever, in those Liberty Markets. That was invented in Staten Island. And my friend Rick owned the flower cart. And one time he needed to borrow some money to keep his business afloat, so I loaned him some money. And part of the deal was, he paid me back in installments with interest. But the other part of the deal was I get free flowers for life. Okay? But anytime I went down there and I wanted flowers, I get all the free flowers. And I bought a lot of flowers over the years. I love to buy flowers for girls, especially when I had my business. I used to employ a lot of young college-age women. And I would just love, Valentine's Day or their birthday or something like that came around, give all the girls flowers, or if I went out on a date, I always bring flowers and stuff like that. And so it was great owning part of a flower shop. I got free flowers for life. So here we are. Our hero, when we last left him off, was in the jitney with this wonderful, beautiful young lady, okay, who never hurt a person in her whole life. And I guess I was just being nagged. I think we had a little issue, too, yeah. We had a little issue on New Year's Eve, too, where I was just being overextended and I was tired and stuff like that. And we had to go pick up her sister at the airport, and then the sister never showed up. We were there for hours in this crowded airport. And but I got over that. And then here it is a couple of months later, February 14th, and we're riding in our romantic jitney down the Atlantic City boardwalk, and I just blurted out, I think we should break up. Oh, my God. And I know it came as a shock to her, and we had been together for a while, too. It was at least a couple of years. And I broke up with my girlfriend on Valentine's Day in Atlantic City in this little romantic jitney ride. Now, not thinking ahead, I didn't quite realize that we had a 2-hour ride home ahead of us. After, deciding that we should break up, that now we would have to spend at least the next 4 hours together, packing up, getting ready to leave, and then driving home. And we actually drove home the whole 2 hours in the rain in our car on Valentine's Day, crying, both of us just crying our eyes out, because it was a good, real relationship. Isn't this a fun, wonderful story? Okay. But, it's a real story, and it's the truth. And it was one of my biggest regrets. It definitely is a huge regret that the way I did things. But I think things turned out for the good for both of us. I think she did wind up getting married. Oh, my God. Anyway, that was another Valentine's Day story. Horrible, I know. But, listen, love me or hate me, man, I'm honest with you. Hey, another one. I've told this story before. The St. Valentine's Day Massacre. And what happened here was, at the time, I was running a beeper company on Staten Island, front page beepers in the Staten Island Mall. And the company had grown massively and quickly. Where at this time, I had at least a good 80 employees working for me. We had a big office. And then we had different locations with those kiosks in the malls, that little kiosk in like a little, like a flea market type thing, too. And we had one in the Staten Island Mall. For a while there, I had one over in the Woodbridge Mall. And then we ultimately had a storefront later on. Hey. And what happened was, I'll tell you what happened. I told the story before. But what happened was people would bring back their beepers for repair, and a standard repair was about $25. And they always complained. No one wanted to pay for their repairs, but I had to pay for the repairs, and there was no warranty or this was damage, And you arguing back and forth. Is it covered? Is it not covered? Nobody wants to pay for the repairs. So even though when I was there working there, I would fight with the customer when they weren't going to get no free repair out of me. They weren't going to get their beeper back. But I knew the employees were letting people slip and get away with these repairs. And I figured it out, $25 a day, giving a break on some for a repair. And many times it was like 3 repairs a day, $75. That stuff, that adds up. That adds up to a lot of money at the end of the year. And I was looking to recoup savings, because we're always, small business, times are, you need to, cut costs. So I was trying to figure out a way because we had no system in the computer. You got to remember, back in those days, I was the first guy in the whole country to sell cellular phones from a kiosk in the mall. No one had done it before me. I invented that. When you go to the mall and you see them selling cell phones from a mall and a kiosk, no one did that before me. No one sold those little cases and those leather cases and faces and stuff like that for cell phones. No one did that before me. That was the first guy to go into a mall and do that. Then after I was in a mall, then other companies started coming in, and the mall let them come in, cutting into my business. But what I was getting at, though, is, there was no point-of-sale software to track these kind of sales at a location like this. I was dealing with the software company to teach them how to do this, through my experience. I was like a beta center for them. So I was trying to figure out a way to track the repairs and how much I was losing on these repairs. So I started going through and running reports and figuring all this stuff out. And I stumbled upon the employees were ripping me off. See, like I mentioned before, I was helping. There was no point of sale software when I went into this to sell, because they used to sell beepers and cell phones using field agents. You have a sales force that would go to businesses and sell them, like that. No, they didn't have them in a mall. They had storefronts and stuff, but they didn't have these things at a mall or remote location out there. They needed point of sale software. So I was working with the software company to help them develop the software. And we actually flew down to Florida. I flew down my top employees down there to train on this software, all this kind of stuff. And what happened was, there's one guy who I really, I put him through college, man. He worked for me in high school. I took care of this kid, man. And he figured out a way to delete the invoices when we were ordering the cell phones. He could delete the invoices, then delete them out of inventory. And there was always a trick, too, that this went on. This was very commonplace in the beeper business back then, where you could give away free months, and you could get away with, with giving free months to people. There was really no way to audit that either, because it was all new. Everyone was figuring it out. So this kid, who I really took care of, man, stabbed me in the back, and he figured out a way to delete the invoices and was stealing. We figured out they were stealing $10,000 a month. Now, I didn't realize this at the very beginning. I could just track each employee's sales and what they were doing. And I would catch one, and I'd say, oh, my God, look how much this guy's taking from me. And then I would start looking at another employee's sales and say, oh, no, this guy's involved too. So there's about 4 or 5 of them, maybe 6 altogether, that were full-time in this racket ripping me off. It was coming out to $10,000 a month. It's no joke. So, and I kept, as I would look into a different guy, I would say, oh, no, not him, too. Don't tell me he's stealing from me, too. I trusted these kids. They were all young college kids, man. And I took care of them. Bonuses, commissions, with their personal problems, they had problems. They were like my own kids, So I couldn't let everybody see that I was doing this investigation right before their eyes, so I would have to go in after the mall closed at 9, 10 o'clock at night and run these reports and figure this stuff out and take it back. I'd leave there like 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, to get out of there, working all night long. So finally, we had our case prepared. I knew who was stealing from me. We just needed to confront them and get them to confess and make payment arrangements. That was the plan. So I brought in a friend of mine who was a private investigator, and we'll call him Danny. And it was a Friday on February 14th, Valentine's Day, and we had the Valentine's Day massacre. And what we did was we brought these guys in one at a time when they came in to pick up their checks from the office. And we brought them into my office, and me and Danny were in there, and me and Danny both had guns on us. Okay, we weren't pointing any guns at anybody, but we both had guns, displayed in our holsters. Okay, for all to see inside my back office. And then my office had like its own little second exit, that led to like a staircase. So we would have them come in one door. We'd interrogate them until they confessed, because we had all the evidence right in front of them. And then we didn't want them pulling guns on them or anything like that. But, it was definitely an intimidating situation. And we would get them to sign these confessions and a payment plan. Okay? One at a time. And then they started stacking up on us. We had to get them in. So we would stick them in that way. After we got up to sign a thing, we'd stick them in that little hallway, the other exit there. So the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. And this went on all day long, man, interrogating these guys, getting them to sign. It was no easy. Let me tell you, it's no easy. It's no joke, man. You got to take one guy down and confess, sit him down, get him to confess. Yeah, that's enough. I tried doing it with 6, 7 guys, And then, wouldn't you know it, after all that, you could imagine how spent I was, I just wanted to go home, buy a bottle of Remy Martin, just go to sleep, man. If I had some of these Percocets, I would have took those. But no, I get home. And was I married? No, I was still dating this girl, the one that I divorced and had Victoria's mom. I get back to her. I think I talked to her on the phone. And she says, I said, oh, you're not going to believe what I went through today, man. We got confessions out of these guys. You got to interrogate them, with the guns. And she goes, oh, well, we have to go out with my brother and his wife tonight. And I said, what? I said, are you kidding me, man? I said, you know what I've been through today? Yeah. And she's, just like what I've been through this week, man, rescuing this girl off the street. I got surgery. My dad's got this problem. My daughter's got helping his other girl. We had to call CPS today with my daughter's kid. Plus, I fall in love with this girl. I got all that. My plate is full, man. But here I was, young guy. And I tell her, I said, listen, man, I need the night off. She says, no, it's Valentine's Day. What am I going to say to my brother? So I said, okay, look, I'll go. We'll go out to dinner with your brother and his wife, but I'm not changing. I'm not going to shower and change or anything. I was wearing a suit and tie, I always wear a suit and tie every day, but I said, I'm not going to change. I'm not going to shower or anything. I'll go with you. I'm just going to sit there. Okay, she said, okay, good. That's fine. So her brother's this guy. He used to work for me 2 years ago when I was doing my other stuff. And so we're sitting there, we're having our dinner, and everybody's being friendly and talking all chat. And finally I says, oh, man, you have no idea what I've been through today. What are you talking about? I told him. I said, man, I've been interrogating people since 8 o'clock this morning. 10 hours of interrogations and confessions. And he's going, my God, well, what are you doing here? I said, yeah, that's a good question. Hey, but that'll go to show you, man, what a good boyfriend I am if anybody's listening. Okay, man. Right? I'm a good boyfriend, man. I put her up till the end. So that was, and that's the one that ended in divorce, too, that I want to. That's interesting, man. She made me go to that dinner, right, on Valentine's Day, and she got her divorce papers on Valentine's Day, too. So that's kind of a good summary there for you. Okay, I had a whole bunch of things I wanted to talk about here, but let's just take a commercial break. You know what? That may end the show. We're going to take a commercial break, and then we'll see how much time I have to fill, and then we'll see what we're going to do. Okay, so thank you so much. We'll be right back after these messages.
And now a word from our sponsors. Check out CartKing.com, 877-986-7771. Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Perhaps your current business wants to add multiple point-of-sale locations across the country quickly. Maybe the facility you manage could kickstart revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services, like let's say you own an office building or a warehouse. Put one of these carts there in the lobby. Well, CartKing.com can be the answer to your needs. CartKing.com is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile retail coffee and food carts and kiosks money can buy. For 20 years, CartKing.com has been working with clients and corporations across America to provide indoor and outdoor carts and kiosks for any application. From large, heated, and secure outdoor retail or food kiosks to smaller, more mobile coffee kiosks or coffee stations, coffee carts, CartKing.com designs and builds them all. Carts and kiosks are fun, and so are the dozens of designs on the website, CartKing.com. Please visit today at CartKing.com or just call them at 877-986-7771. Tell them Ed Opperman sent you and you get a good deal. Remember, all these shows on Awake are brought to you by emailrevealer.com. You can go to emailrevealer.com and get a copy of my book, How to Become a Successful Private Investigator. You also do all the kind of different services for you. Online dating service investigations called an online infidelity investigation. And that's where you give us your husband or your boyfriend, your girlfriend's email address, and we trace it back to their online dating websites, and we return a list of all the dating sites that email is registered to. We can expand on that investigation and trace it back to porn sites, escort service sites, swinger sites, gambling websites, and even prescription drug websites, and all kinds of digital forensics, computer and cell phone digital forensics, where we can recover deleted content from an email or a hard drive and produce a report for you that you can use in court. That's emailrevealer.com, or you can contact me at oppermaninvestigations@gmail.com. The Opperman Report is brought to you by SubhashTechnosis.com. Subash Technosis is a search engine optimization and website design company. They're located in India, so you're going to save a lot of money and get top quality service. They offer all sorts of business process outsourcing, data entry, banking BPO services, recruitment process outsourcing, software testing, offshoring, research network, customer care, press release, content writing and distribution, and much, much more. Now, you can get a hold of Subash Technosis by email at info@subhashtechnosis.com. Their website is www.subhashtechnosis.com, and their Skype is ANUSHASUBASH.
Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. Let me stop that there. Welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. And this portion of the show is brought to you by 21 Financial. 21 Financial provides unparalleled personalized accounting services to a broad range of clients across New York and the Houston area. From now until April 14th, their sole focus is getting taxpayers the biggest refund possible on their money. Now, they're mobile. You can't go to them, they'll go to you, with the capability to file in any state within the United States. You can find them on Facebook and book your appointment directly, or you can call 903-265-8563 and speak with Emily. Emily is very cool. She's great. And ask them for a free estimate on how they can double your refund. Double it. Double. They will also advance you up to $6,000 on your refund. So if you got a big refund coming, they'll give you the cash before the government sends you that check. You don't have to wait for anything. You can meet them right there out in front of the casino. Go inside. Double it again. Double down, man. But check out Emily. She really is great. 903-265-8563. And you can set your appointment on Facebook. But if you call up, you can say, hey, Ed Opperman sent me. You know, and that's how you get a good deal from these people, because they want to be on their best behavior, because they know I'll go on to a rant here on the radio if everybody's not behaving themselves. Okay, let's look at the time. And 51. Okay. Well, let's talk about some other stuff in the news. I think I've exhausted Valentine's Day, and I've exhausted myself, and telling you all my different adventures and stories this week, although I did leave out the one about my poor old dad. I got to tell you that one in the future when things are a little bit more settled. For him and for myself. One thing that I struck my attention this week is Alex Jones is being taken to trial now. But the judge ordered they had another hearing, and he's going to have to face depositions in his defamation trial regarding Sandy Hook, his reporting on Sandy Hook. Right? And I believe he's going to come back out again and say, oh, I'm just a performance artist. Anything I say is a bunch of crap. How can you take me serious? On the one hand, and then he'll go back on the air later on that night and say, no, I lied in the deposition. It's just amazing how he gets away with this. Now, I've talked about Sandy Hook and my involvement with the people around Sandy Hook. And it's interesting to me because this just came up. I did an interview on the show Skeptico recently. And from the people who listened to it, I got a lot of really good responses. As a matter of fact, we got a big donation from a guy who listened to that show this week and says, hey, I want to support your work. So a lot of people listened to me on there, liked it, and they're supporting the work. I wasn't too thrilled with it. It was kind of confrontational. The guy was confronting me on my faith. It was just bizarre. And he's really focused on that, too. He's harped on it. I made another video about it, too. I haven't watched the full thing, but it's just bizarre. And some of his listeners made this comment, oh, Ed doesn't believe Sandy Hook. And it's interesting how with these, because I'm very clear on what I say and what I think, but then people want to kind of just twist it, in their own direction for their own purposes, whatever that may be. And with Sandy Hook, I've always said that when you watch those videos on YouTube, there's some very convincing arguments there that something unusual took place at Sandy Hook, and there's some kind of shenanigans went on. Now, with Boston bombing, I think there's way more shenanigans went on with there, because we could have direct ties to the CIA with Ruslan and, FBI agents falling out of helicopters and witnesses getting shot and killed in interrogation rooms. A lot of stuff there. Okay, that is questionable, is unusual, But with Sandy Hook, not so much, really. And except for the videos you see. And what I've tried to explain to people is I became very intimately involved with a lot of the characters who made those videos and wrote those books, and the experts, supposedly, on Sandy Hook, and some of the authorities and pontificators on the whole Sandy Hook situation. I've had personal experiences with these people, almost all entirely negative, where I've concluded that a lot of these people are either incredible, they have no credibility, or some of them are just downright crazy and dangerous, and some are just inaccurate and amateurish in their reporting. So while I've seen the same YouTubes you've seen, you've come to this conclusion that you believe it has to be a hoax and stuff like that, I've also seen those, but I've also dealt with the people behind them and my own personal experience with them. And some is just so bizarre and so crazy, it's just off the charts. And So it's especially then too after that, and then after living through the Vegas October 1 shooting, where I see all this crazy reporting on the news, and not on the news, but on YouTube and in these alt radio hosts and stuff like that, just with crazy stuff, wild speculation, things that have been disproven months ago that they're still going on about. It's just geographical errors and just stuff that's just so blatantly in my face that I just know is wrong. It makes me even more skeptical because I'm not firsthand down there in Sandy Hook, Connecticut. I don't know what's going on over there. But I can only imagine if what I see, the wild speculation and misinformation being posted here about October 1 shooting in the Mandalay Bay, and also about things that went on down at Bundy Ranch and Burns Sanctuary, things that I know firsthand from dealing with these people, it makes my skepticism about the Sandy hoax conclusions and group, this kind of little cult that's sprung up around it, even more suspicious about them. But to throw that group a bone, I'll say this. Because now there's this lawsuit against, what's his name? Alex Jones, of all people, who is really not the leader of that, but he has the most money, I guess, the deepest pockets. I guess if you're going to have a lawsuit, he would be one guy to go after, but I would name others as well. There's many people around that hoax theory that have been stalking people and harassing them at their homes and stuff. People had to move. Death threats. Some people have been arrested over this. But I'm curious is why wouldn't the plaintiffs' attorneys, because I've talked about this enough that where the people involved in these Sandy hoax theories have contacted me, trying to hire me and spilling their guts out to me, and they're in trouble over this and they're in trouble over that, and they want me to come and work for them for free, almost always, And I've been in contact firsthand with their bizarre behavior and their bizarre theories and their activities off the air and off of YouTube to a point that then I've talked about it, but they've been able to find me. They know, they're aware of me. So my name is linked to all this somehow. Why wouldn't the plaintiff's attorneys in this case contact me and say, hey, Ed, what do you know behind the scenes that you're always talking about here? And I've talked about this quite a bit. Enough that everybody should be clear on what my stance is on this. But for some reason, I haven't been contacted by them. Now, that makes me suspicious. And people might say, well, Ed, you got such a big head. Oh, you think everybody's, But no, I hate to tell you, but these things I get contacted on. I get contacted to consult on these things all the time. When the plaintiff's attorneys, the plaintiffs or the defendants, investigators, whatever, if there's litigation out there or a big criminal case going on out there, and I'm talking about it on the air, and especially when I'm talking about something I have personal knowledge in, I'm usually contacted to talk to these people. It's not like I'm hard to find, this is what I do for a living. So, but in this case, no, nothing. Just like in the Miami Herald article about Jeffrey Epstein, now why wouldn't they contact me and say, hey, man, you've been working on this a long time. What do you have to share with us? Because, and people think, well, oh, Ed, you're obscure, nobody's heard of you. I hate to tell you, man, but no. In the Me Too case and stuff like that, a lot of those cases I've been contacted to talk about it. I don't talk about it on the air, but a lot of stuff out there, man. That I get contacted. What do you know? I hear you talking about it. What do you know? What can you help us with? We'll hire you. And so, but in this case, no. So that makes me suspicious. It makes me suspicious of the motivations behind this lawsuit. And that it could be some kind of a operation going on there. Maybe I'm getting old and cynical, in many ways. But maybe that's what you kind of need. Okay, you kind of need a guy who's been around a little bit and is a little old and cynical to kind of either set you on the right, straight path, or, and tell you when, hey, that's a little wild and wacky, it's a little crazy out there, but also still, like I got the balls to come out here and tell you what I know and what I think and step out on that limb there. And I got to tell you something, man. Not everybody does, and in this business, and not everybody's cut out for this. Okay, so you got something going on here, something to your benefit. Someone who has the kind of real life street experience that I can actually physically save someone who's being used, human trafficked. And I hate to say it that way, but I did save this kid, saved her life. It's all in a week's work. I let you in on it all along the way. Yeah, you could have helped me out. Would have been nice, but you didn't. We did it on our own. The day before I was getting surgery, by the way. Okay. And we got a whole thing going on with CPS too. My daughter's friend. We got a whole thing going on with my dad. All stuff going on here. Plus, I fell in love this week, too. All stuff going on. But here I am for you after my surgery. Showed up to work on time. Did my job. And all I ask from you is you join our members section to help support the show. If you go to OppermanReport.com, we have a special members section with this 400 hours of exclusive content. Steve Bannon's Porn and Meth House. We got all kinds of stuff. We got the McMartin Preschool, the hand-dug room underneath the preschool down there. Tim Tate, I interviewed him, Conspiracy of Silence. People, Henry Vincent from the Franklin Cover-Up. Oh, my God, this is stuff, exclusive after exclusive after exclusive after exclusive. No one's talked to them before. People haven't talked to anybody in 30 years. I find them, I bring them to you. And all I ask is for $6 a month, you go there, you sign up, and you help support this work. And then not only am I doing that for you, but I'm actually saving poor civilian girls out there in real life. So, I can't motivate you enough here. People say $6 is a lot of money every month, but, you do go out, you buy those beers, you buy those Starbucks, those cigarettes and stuff like that. And here's somebody, bringing you the truth, doing the work. I gave you a peep when you didn't hear a peep out of any of those people who, those MAGA types out there that are telling you I'm full of it, right? I brought it straight to you from the horse's mouth, from Whitaker himself, the acting attorney general, okay? And you didn't hear a peep out of one of them saying I was wrong. They just ignore it and move on. And they all get buku funding, man. They're all getting money from Cambridge Analytica, and they're getting money from the Mercers and the Kochs and all that bunch. They're getting money poured into their laps to fly around the country. Laura Loomer flying around. Let me put a tent on Nancy Pelosi's front lawn. Call the cameras. Let me handcuff myself to Twitter. I'm not going to do childish stunts like that. I'm going to get people thrown in jail. We're going to have real lawsuits and make them pay. If you support my work, we're going to get sex-trafficked young women off the street and into placement into a group home or something where someone's going to take care of them. Okay, that's the kind of stuff I'm doing. For real. Not talking about stuff. So OppermanReport.com is where you can join a member, become a membership, help support the show. You can advertise on our show. We got a lot of exposure tonight, I can tell you that, with that Roger Stone show. I know that's going to be a big hit factory. If you want to get a discount, you can contact me directly at OppermanReport@gmail.com, and I'll give you a discount. I'll give you 13 months for $65. You can't beat that. Okay? You can't beat that. And if people don't understand how this works, once you become a member, everything you see on the website is available to you for free. Okay? Everything you see in the special archives is there in the member section. Plus more. There's shows that are not in the special archives. There's little recordings in there that aren't in there. Some of them aren't even labeled very well, but you just got to listen to them because it's all good stuff. I put it in there for a reason. We got the search warrant executions from the Jeffrey Epstein mansion down there in Palm Beach. We have the 24-page letter where his attorney claims that he helped create the Clinton Foundation. We got all the Trump University lawsuit documents in there. There's pictures in there. There's all kinds of stuff, man. There's commentaries on shows that I've done commentaries on many, many shows. There's 400 hours of shows. Who knows? God knows how many hours of other content is in there. $6. And you're going to complain to me? Hey, by the way, too, don't forget the Drugs as Weapons Against Us is on Amazon right now. You can check that out and help support John Potash. And you can see my little segment in there, too, as well. So thank you so much. Good night. Happy Valentine's Day to you all. And happy Valentine's Day to my special little girl out there. And thank you so much. See you guys next week. Good night. Okay, guys, I'm live now at 6:08 p.m. on April 17th, 2021. Now, the show you just listened to was a repeat from several years ago, about 3 or 4 years ago. About 3 years ago, I guess it was. And so I just want to give a little update on what was going on, because I was so happy about the situation with Maddie, the young girl who, I was bragging about how I saved her life. I'm sorry about the noise in the background. They got the wash machine running. But we're all live. And anyway, it turns out that later on, she died about 6 months later. I was able to get her off the streets there of Las Vegas and get her to her father in Arizona. But what happened was she had trouble. She went back on drugs back in Arizona. And wound up going on this date on Seeking Arrangements or Ashley Madison, one of those things, with this guy who was like 70 years old. and for some reason he took her out to a gun range in the middle of the night to fire weapons. And what we believe happened is that there was a jam, and that she was looking down the barrel of the gun and she accidentally shot herself. An accidental self-inflicted gunshot wound. Anyway, so wonderful kid, and but my conscience is clear. I did everything I could for her, but I don't want to leave that show up the way it is. Just saying, hey, I saved her life, and when in actuality she did wind up passing. Beautiful kid. The other thing I wanted to update you on is that I talk a lot about, hey, support the show by going to the members section. We no longer update that members section, and in fact, if you go there, it'll direct you to the Patreon. We're using Patreon now, and there's a lot of new exclusive stuff on there. We put up 8 hours of new content each month. As a matter of fact, tonight I'll be putting up a show about the altar boys in Ireland who were molested by these network of Catholic priests. That's going up brand new exclusive. And then also, too, a show about a blackjack dealer in Las Vegas, a poker dealer. And I'm going to be talking about the young man that was shot accidentally by the woman who thought she was reaching for her taser, by the police officer who thought she was reaching for her taser. I'm gonna record that this weekend, and then we'll put that one up there too. And it's gonna be a little 2-part episode. So that's the update. Unfortunately, Maddie, God rest her soul, did pass. Wonderful girl, always up for an adventure, and had a rough life, but always took it on the chin and really looked on the bright side of things. I don't think I ever seen her sad or upset or mad or anything even once with anybody. So there's that update. And then also, too, no longer we have the member section. We're using Patreon. You go to Opperman Report Patreon if you want to support the show and support the work. And once again, I will say, that you can go, all these hot shots out there talking about these topics I've been talking about forever. These human trafficking and child trafficking stuff. I don't know another one out there actually doing anything about it, actually working on these things in real life and helping people and saving people. So, a lot of people supporting them just because they talk a good game and make up a lot of stuff. So we would appreciate your support here over at the Opera Report. Thank you so much. Good night.
And now a word from our sponsors.
Before Epstein was the Franklin cover-up. Before that, the Finders. And long before that, the Cleveland street scandal. Pedogate Primer is a concise intro and overview of a growing child abuse epidemic worldwide. It features shocking instances of institutionalized and organizational pedophilia throughout history. Churches, cults, the world of arts and entertainment, the government, NGOs, charities, and major corporations are all complicit or culprits in many instances. Pedogate Primer delves into material that for many may seem like the stuff of conspiracy theories. For this reason, the book draws on academic resources, declassified documents, and other reliable sources, and steers clear of conjecture. Such shocking true stories need no embellishment.
If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents, they handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at KMDLaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to KMDLaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law. The Opperman Report is brought to you by Aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aquadam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an aquadam can do the job. An aquadam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An aquadam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An aquadam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aquadam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119.